Hi, this is Dennis Fassett, the Cash Flow Mercenary, and welcome to week 2 to the Renegade Detroit Investors 52 weeks of perspectives. Last week I told you a little bit about how my story and how I got to the situation where I needed to do something extra on the side. And today I wanted to tell you a little bit more about that decision-making process. To be honest, a lot of people don't believe. I mean, I'm entering my 7th year in real estate investing. Not a lot, but not a little. I'm starting to get some traction and being thought of as somebody that's doing something, which is kind of nice because I am doing something. But some people find it a little bit surprising that I never had a burning desire to be in real estate. Not at all. I mean, I was totally indifferent. When I was in the situation and feeling a lot of risk at my job, when I needed to create a safety net. Really what I did is I cast my net really wide to things I could do to create that safety net. And I couldn't care less what it was. I looked at buying a business. I looked at starting a multi-level marketing company. I looked at getting a part-time job. I looked at buying a franchise. I talked to business brokers. I did I looked about just about under every rock I could look at to try to figure out a way to make the extra money. And really what it ended up being is if you think about it, it's when you're already working, as I mentioned last week, when you're already working at a job and your company's not doing well, you don't work less, you work more. So the challenge becomes when you want to try and create a safety net, trying to fit in something else in the very little and shrinking amount of time you have available, because you still have family obligations, wife and kids at home, and I'm a sick mom, my son was playing hockey, my girls were playing sports, and I needed to have family time. And so where do you fit in something else? So it became apparent very quickly that doing something that I was just trading hours for dollars again was not going to work. So getting another job, whether or not, I think my dream job is working at Starbucks. They wouldn't make a nickel when I worked there because I would drink all the profits. But my dream job, even working my dream job at Starbucks, even though they're a great company to work for and everything, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the time. You just can't work enough extra hours to make it worthwhile when you're trading hours for dollars. So I had to look at, when that happened, I figured that out. I narrowed it down to businesses. So then I started to look at businesses. And if you look at most businesses, like franchises and things like that, like there's always a Subway for sale somewhere. And you think about those types of businesses, those are really basically, and if you think about it, it's basically buying yourself a job, buying a franchise, because you've got to be there. And instead of being there 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week like a job, you're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it's now your business. So you're buying yourself a job that only pays probably usually a little bit more than your day job would pay. So really that's not a good idea either. So it's like I was going through all this analysis and looking at things to do. The only thing I really came up with that I could really leverage my time in a way that made sense, and that I could use the skills I already knew, and it wasn't too far outside of not my comfort zone, but my, area that I had to, start looking. I didn't have to learn how to speak Chinese or something like that. Was real estate. And the funny thing is you're going to laugh, is that I didn't even really necessarily want to be a rentals guy at real estate either. And I'll tell you next week on my progression to how I got to being the rentals guy. But I think that the message is, if you're thinking about being a real estate investor, I think it's in terms of a cool and a profitable business to be a part of. I think you made the right choice. I think that all the evidence that you're going to do, all the analysis you're going to do, is point to it being a very, very potentially profitable place to be. And I'll leave it at that. So next week we'll talk about the different flavors of real estate that I tried and how I ended up being a rentals guy and the Cash Flow Mercenary. This is Dennis Fassett, again, the Cash Flow Mercenary. Thanks again for tuning in this weekend. We will talk again next week.